everybody. It's June 23rd, 2015, and this is a kind of a technical talk about Jade Helm and what exactly it is from a technical standpoint. Now, before I begin, I'd like to preface this as explaining that I've lived my entire life deep into computers. I've lived and breathed and done virtually every job, every kind of network, every kind of system setup that there is to set up. If there's been some kind of complex system in the world to set up, I've been a part of a lot of them. I spent several years working at Google. I went in as a data center tech 3, which was an immediate hire in that they said nobody had ever been hired as a data center tech 3. So I think that was a good thing. When I left there, I was an operations team manager, and I did a lot with the computers of Google inside and out. I led the team that essentially took care of the millions of computers that are out there. And we would always be the very first in line for all the problems and having to get through the problems and pushing it back to the developers and pushing it back up to engineering and vice versa and different things like that. So I've been in computers. I'm a lifer. I'm a tech. I'm a geek. I'm one of those guys that would gladly do it, but the fact that someone will pay me to do it is even much better. So that is how much I love technology, and that's why when I'm discussing this Jade Helm and what it actually means from a technical standpoint, I hope you can see that I have plenty of credentials to back all of this up and to kind of give you guys a little bit of an eye-opener into what is happening right now, what I believe is going to be happening, and where I believe things will be going in the future. Jade came from a 3-part software program, and that program was called Jade. And essentially there's a data dump, there's an analyzing program, and then there's a war chest style program that takes all the data that funnels into it at all times and analyzes it and breaks it down to exactly the meaningful info that is then deployed to people in the field. One thing about Jade 2.0, which is what we're at right now, is Jade 2.0 isn't using traditional computers. It's using very small, complex, little, tiny machines. It is a quantum style computer. And that's something that hasn't been done on a war front that I know of. And a lot of times when you're talking quantum computers, you're talking thousands of processors onto a space that you can't even see. It's so small. The military has finally come up with an answer of how do you listen to the world's data and analyze it and have the computing power to do it all in real time. With quantum computers, you can do that. That in itself is a lot that's coming at us. But without the quantum computers in the mix, they would never ever have the processing power to be able to pull off a war based upon real-time information delivered directly to the soldiers' hands in the field instantaneously. Jade 1.0 were 3 separate programs and a ton of different modules that were all intermixed together. Now, I don't have confirmation on this, but what I believe Jade 2.0 is all of these programs basically put together, so it's one big program. So I would guess that several of the development teams that were working on these individual programs are all now part of the Jade team. Now, what does Jade collect? Jade collects everything from SMSs on your phones, emails, web browsers, web pages, where you've been, what you've been up to, GPS locations, where you go, what's in your bank, what's not in your bank, have you taken money in, have you taken money out. Essentially, what we're up against is we're up against a software program that's going to know us far better than we ever know ourselves. To the point, they even have modules that predetermine what somebody is about to do based upon past logging of all the historical data they've already collected. All of our patterns are easily seen. So the first phase of Jade Helm, on top of getting all their equipment deployed across the United States in very strategic locations, is literally finding where are the enemies, what are we doing? And the reason they're keeping everything so secretive is so that we are exposing ourselves By every time that we send a text and talk about Jade Helm, every time that we talk about resistance, every time that we talk about this isn't the right thing to do, almost instantaneously, the artificial intelligence software, Jade 2.0, filed on you and me and whoever it is they are after. So Jade 2.0 is essentially the full command and conquer style military program. It eliminates all the middlemen. It goes directly from the elite or whoever's top of the chain, and it goes directly to the soldiers. There is no middleman anymore. There's no more wait. There's no more having to wait for instructions, because Jade 2.0 can give you everything you need to know instantaneously by just giving it the right data. If you give the right data, it's going to take the algorithm and it's going to show you what's up and where to go and where you need to put your firepower on. Over the last couple of years, they fired 200 of the top, the best, the top shelf generals. They've gotten rid of them. And they were the guys who would literally not pull the trigger on civilians. They want people who are willing to do whatever it takes. Some of the scary things that Jade can do, and why it's so scary, is the fact that this information is assimilated and it's run through war game software. And the war game software is able to tell them, the commanders in the field, real time, what to do, who the resistance is, and where the resistance is at. It's almost like a battle that you don't need real generals and colonels for. It's a battle that deploys and plays out by itself. What I personally find most heartbreaking is that essentially the technology that we've come to love and to use and to build and to change society for the better, we hoped, has now been used and is being used to hunt us and kill us, and is essentially our greatest enemy that we've known to date. If they were being forthcoming and were telling us what really Jade Helm was all about, we would be out scrambling and trying to find as much data as we can on this. This is why it's pretty clear to see that Jade Helm began the second they announced it, and the second people began reporting all the military action. And that's what Jade Helm is all about. It's about mastering the human domain. What will we do? What will we be doing next? How are we going to do it? Who are our friends? What do our friends think? Are there political people among us? Are there fighters among us? What are we going to do? Master the human domain. Every time you go to Facebook and look for Jade Helm stuff, when you go to YouTube, every single bit of this is fed back into Jade 2.0. Now, since they've gotten rid of the top commanders, it appears that now our military is essentially being run by a computer system. Jade is also controlling the army, where they're deploying things, how they're deploying things, and it's using an algorithm-based analysis that will tell them who needs to be eliminated first, who are their biggest threats, who are the people that are fighting back, who are the people, who are the patriots, who are the gun owners. It looks like we need to gear up for a war that's unlike any war that's ever been fought in the world, using our own troops against us. It's going to be a very complex and hard war to win for the people, for the right side, for us, the patriots. The drones, the 30,000 drones that are above our heads, pilotless. With the complexity of Jade 2.0 and the things it can do and the power it yields using quantum computers, there's no reason that Jade wouldn't be flying our drones, the 30,000 drones that are above our heads, as well. Assuming that Jade, at the very least, gets all the data from all these drones and all these aerial flights from the FBI and DEA and everybody that has airships and airplanes above us at all times, at the very least, you know they're getting this kind of data, which is just more real-time visual feeds and just amassing the amounts of data they're already getting. Data input that you can assume that Jade Helm uses is all of our grid info, which means all of our power info, how much power do we use, how much power we don't use, lights on, lights off, certain draws, if they're hooked into the grid, which you can guarantee that they are, they have every bit of data that knows how we run our routine lives. So when we decide to change something up or we decide to do something, if it's not historical data, that means it's an anomaly. And that means that it would probably trigger a house-to-house visit, at the very least. You know, maybe a drone strike, who knows? This is a crazy world we're living in. So we have that as a data feed. Then we also have internet, they have space, they have visual. The drones over the top can hear, and they can also use cameras. Every bit of everything that we're doing, especially if we're amassing an attack or a resistance back, is going to be caught in Jade 2.0. This is kind of a very intriguing war. This is something out of a book, almost like a no-win situation. How do you fight a technological war when the technology is being used against you as a weapon? How do you defeat, or how do you even counter such a highly technical setup? For the last few days, we've seen military convoys rolling up and down the roads with satellites, big generators, various style artillery that's more for reconnaissance. And at some point, and hopefully you guys are beyond the 7 states and what Jade Helm really is, according to what the government says, but since this is now officially in 50 states, we know of Army and crew on the move constantly. It's not slowing down. In fact, it is speeding up. And what they're waiting for, we don't know. We don't know how Jade is going to roll this war. We don't know if there's truly the asteroid that NASA says isn't coming our way in September. If you look at that footage from 2013, the asteroid was very close to hitting the Earth, and you could see it in Russia, where windows were being blown out, people were being knocked off their feet. It was an incredible visual in the sky. And this was an asteroid that NASA completely missed. They never saw it coming because supposedly of the sun. You know, how we spend billions of dollars and miss something like that coming right at us, I don't know. But let's say, for instance, that they do know that this same asteroid, the same meteor that almost hit the Earth in 2013 is circled back around, which they all do. And what if it is ready to hit us? And what if they decided not to tell anybody? There's been reports that have come out. I have nothing substantial because it's such a hush-hush kind of a thing. And it's just more people like End of the World calling. But we have a lot of circumstantial evidence and a lot of things deploying before our very eyes, which would lead us to believe that there is some sort of major catastrophe on its way. They haven't amassed just a mass amounts of morgues, coffins, emergency cleanup gear, emergency everything. They are ready for some horrific things to come our way, and it's only going to take a matter of 3 or 4 days before the public starts panicking and riots break out. Imagine 3 or 4 days without power across the US, or without trucking, without anything like this. It is going to be a nightmare. And this is the same kind of situation that they could deploy, that they could make up. It's perfect for them. They don't have to fight us to take us into martial law. They just have to starve us. And starving us is a lot easier than fighting us. Because essentially, if you're starving, you're willing to give up your weapons versus wanting to fight for your freedom. So that's what we all need to be vigilant on. We need to be aware. We need to understand what could possibly be taking place and use this to our benefit. Use this to prepare. Use this time right now to get water equipped in your house, to get food equipped in your house, get everything you need. Take out whatever you need to take out to get rations, to get food. If you don't use them, then you'll just eat them. You're not wasting your money on this, guys. Just be prepared and be ready for anything at any time. Since the military has already amassed whatever they're planning, Could happen today, it could happen tonight, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen anytime. And these people are insane. They're clinically insane. Never put anything beyond them, never put anything past them. They have said over and over and over, they want to take out 90% of this world. They believe this is dire for them. They believe the earth is on its very last core, and that we've had so many kids that we're destroying the earth. And whatever their excuse is, we have to watch the ultimate bottom line. Where do they want us to go, and where do they say they want us to go? It's historical. They want us to be dead. 90% of us, the ones that live, are going to be slaves to them. You're going to live in a utopian world in a little tiny 500 square foot house, and it's going to be slavery beyond what we're into right now. I believe we're at the end. I believe we're very close to something crazy happening, whether it is the fake Messiah that they're going to be bringing forth to everybody, or whether or not we're about to take a massive East Coast flood, West Coast flood. I don't know. It's open, and it's one of those things I don't have enough data for. But they're amassed on our borders. They're amassed in our towns. They're amassed everywhere. That's the key. And if they're preparing for something, you need to prepare for something as well. We all need to be prepared. This is a call out to all you guys, and the best way to be prepared is to have Jesus Christ in your heart. If you don't have the love of Jesus Christ in your heart, if you haven't asked him to be your personal savior, I urge you, it's 11:59 right now. We need people on their knees in prayer, praying for our country, praying for revival, praying that something can stop what's imminently happening right now, and it's on its way. If we don't pray, there will be no way, and they're just going to continue on. If there's any hope of another day, a little bit longer for our kids and generations, if not, it's playing out exactly as the book of Revelation. And there's no reason that these elite guys, these people who think they're ultra illuminated and have the extra brain power and are just so much smarter than everybody else, they believe they are the chosen ones. They believe they are the illuminated ones, and they have pushed Jesus Christ so far out of the reach of everybody everywhere that if Jesus Christ wasn't the true answer, if he was not the reason of this, that they're pushing it, then these guys are wasting all their time, and a lot of it based upon something that isn't true. Logic says that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He is the one, he is the way, the truth, and the life. And it's so easy to ask Jesus into your heart. Just all you got to do is believe. You got to have faith. And if you have faith, it can move mountains. It can stop what's happening right now, or it can at least prepare you for what's on its way. Have no fear. Trust in God. Trust in Jesus. And I bid you guys farewell. I love you all.